I'm joined now by Representative Geoff Diehl from the 7th Plymouth District. He joins me now in studio. And, Geoff, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening on Beacon Hill, things like the deficit, health care, and gaming.
Yeah, hi, Dave. How you doing?
Well, good morning.
Thanks for having me on.
Certainly.
And it is, I get inaugurated this Wednesday, so we're going to be diving right into those issues, and I expect that we should have some healthy debates because those are critical issues that are facing the state right now.
What about health care? What can we do about health care? It seems to be a bottomless pit when it comes to expense.
It is. And, the thing is, we're overtaxing our hospitals with demand, and yet we're also, in my opinion, overtaxing, the citizens for the cost. And I think one of the things that they're looking at right now, and, I've heard from my own district, is that plan design is going to be one way that we can try to alleviate some of the costs, at least locally, to allow towns to have more flexibility in their budget. So plan design looks to be one of the first things I think we want to try to work on at the legislature.
As far as the casinos are concerned, it seems like we haven't quite turned the corner on casinos yet.
No, and it's. I think it was held up at the end of the last session, unfortunately, because I know for the most part, just about everybody was on board. We need jobs. The casino industry, people already leave the state to gamble anyway. Let's keep that here. And yet it was held up, I think, for some inside reasons. I want to say it was at the governor's level, but I think that I've spoken to Bob DeLeo. I think everybody has an interest in trying to reintroduce this, so expanded gaming is going to be also something that I'd like to myself push for early resolution on.
Redistricting. We are home to the gerrymandering way of doing things, and it seems like every time there's some kind of redistricting, people try to make a district so it improves their own particular status. We're going to lose one seat. We're going to go from 10 to 9. Where do you think that loss is going to come? You think Western Mass, or do you think it'll be locally?
Well, I've heard three different scenarios, so I really don't even want to go there because it's out of my purview to an extent. I mean, I obviously my district, I'll see whether that gets affected or not. But truthfully, I just hope that redistricting does not take up too much time because we've got way too many issues as far as deficit, healthcare costs, and everything else to address. So I'd like to not get lost in redistricting, too soon. All right,
and the probation department, they've come under fire certainly. What can we do to improve the ethics in that area, Geoff?
Ethics was worked on last year, and I think it's got to continue to work on. I mean, I'm glad that probation is the step that they're taking is to move it to a civil service type situation instead of being assigned by the House legislature, because it just opens it up to the corruption that we've seen. And so that's a good step, and let's keep moving forward so that we don't make patronage, what it's turned into, which is just non-qualified people taking jobs that qualified people really should be taking.
Now, more important to you is your own personal district, and one area that you and I have chatted about, East Bridgewater High School, a new high school. Where do we stand?
That is actually coming to a vote very soon, and it's exciting. I think the people of the town are deciding whether or not they can afford it, and if they do decide to move ahead with a high school, which I think is certainly needed, the school is in major disrepair. I think that will be a positive step for that town. And unfortunately, Abington is also facing major issues with their budgets for schools, and they're actually looking at entering into the process with the Mass School Building Authority (MSBA) for a new school. So. Two of my three towns that I'd be representing are dealing with potential schools, and that's an exciting thing in its own right because it does. Whitman-Hanson actually had their school built fairly recently, and it really does help re-energize, I think, students, teachers, and give a new sense of pride to towns with their education.
And finally, some initiatives that you're going to put forward.
Yeah, I've got some ideas. First of all, on the campaign trail, I spoke great length about local aid and trying to protect that from its current status as discretionary spending. I think it needs to be part of the budget, mandatory spending up front instead of pet projects that the state decides to put their money towards. I think we need to get the money to the towns. So that's the first thing I want to do is move that from discretionary spending. Also, there's a general consensus from the new Republican caucus that we reintroduced the Perry Amendment, which was the eliminating benefits for illegal immigrants. It's just money that we really can't afford to be spending when our own people are not being taken care of. Anybody who's coming here illegally, we've got to fix it and get a better path to citizenship in the meantime. And then the other thing, a third thing I've got is this an act to protect homeowners. Right now, during economic crisis like this, when home values are dropping and people are having major issues with either loss of income or reduced income, there's got to be a way to help those people out instead of just letting them fall into default with loans or lose their homes. So I've got an idea for people who are making their payments but maybe would qualify based under certain criteria that would allow them to remortgage without penalty. So I will be introducing an act that I will try to get more details out to people shortly as soon as it's into the legislature.
All right, Geoff Diehl, thank you very much for joining us. Geoff represents the 7th Plymouth District. Geoff, thanks again. We'll be chatting with you throughout the year, and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Dave. You too.
All right. It is just about 9:09. We'll have more news for you right after this word from Life Care Center of the South Shore.